Centuries of history have left us with a fragmented image of Jesus, a figure shrouded in parables and rituals. But what if the true depth of his teachings has been hidden in plain sight, concealed within ancient texts? Imagine discovering that the wisdom of Jesus wasn't solely about external worship, but about unlocking a higher level of consciousness within yourself. These teachings, long misunderstood, offer a path to awaken the divine essence inside every human being. Today we unveil the lost wisdom of Jesus, a journey to understanding the kingdom within. For centuries, the idea of heaven has been painted as a distant realm, a paradise awaiting us in the afterlife, reachable only through divine judgment. Yet, in Luke 17:21, Jesus offered a revelation so radical it continues to challenge traditional thought. The kingdom of God is within you. This profound statement flips the script on conventional religion. It suggests that salvation isn't something to be earned through rituals or external deeds, nor is heaven a faraway destination. Instead, the divine kingdom is a living reality, hidden within each of us, waiting to be discovered. Imagine for a moment that every human being carries within them a spark of the infinite, a reflection of divine consciousness. This spark isn't reserved for saints or prophets, but is accessible to all who seek it. The journey to this inner kingdom doesn't require grand pilgrimages or adherence to dogma. It begins with a single step, turning inward. This is the path Jesus pointed to, a path of self-discovery, where the distractions of the material world give way to the eternal truth of our divine nature. In the context of mysticism, this teaching aligns with ancient wisdom from across cultures. In Eastern traditions, it mirrors the concept of Atman, the inner self, as being one with Brahman, the ultimate reality. Just as Jesus urged his followers to look within, Hindu sages taught that self-realization leads to unity with the divine. Could it be that the teachings of Jesus and the sages of the East were guiding humanity toward the same universal truth? But why is this inner kingdom so elusive? The answer lies in the nature of the human mind. We are conditioned to look outward, to seek happiness, purpose, and validation in the world around us. Yet Jesus emphasized that true fulfillment comes not from external pursuits, but from awakening the divine presence within. To access this kingdom, one must quiet the noise of the ego, the endless chatter of fear, doubt, and desire, and instead listen to the still, small voice of the soul. This teaching also raises an important question. If the kingdom of God is within, why do so many fail to find it? The answer perhaps lies in our reluctance to face ourselves. Turning inward means confronting the illusions and shadows that cloud our vision. It requires courage to let go of attachments, surrender the ego, and embrace the unknown. Yet, in this surrender lies the greatest reward, the realization of our oneness with the divine. Jesus' words challenge us to rethink what it means to seek God. They remind us that spirituality is not about climbing a ladder to heaven, but about digging deep into the wellspring of our being. The kingdom is not a prize to be won. It is an eternal reality, present here and now, awaiting our recognition. It is a state of consciousness where the boundaries of self dissolve, and we experience the boundless love and peace that is our true nature. This teaching also redefines salvation. Instead of viewing it as a reward for obedience or belief, Jesus invites us to see it as an awakening. Salvation is not about escaping sin or judgment. It is about transcending the illusion of separation and realizing our unity with God. It is a shift from living as fragmented beings to embodying the fullness of divine consciousness. Consider this. If the kingdom of God is truly within us, what does that mean for how we live our lives? It means that every thought, every action, every moment carries the potential to connect us with the divine. It means that heaven is not something we wait for, but something we create, here and now, through love, compassion, and mindfulness. It means that we are not merely seekers of God, we are vessels of divinity. In revealing this teaching, Jesus wasn't just offering wisdom, he was issuing an invitation. He was calling us to embark on the greatest journey of all, the journey within. And as we take that first step, we begin to see the world not as a place of division and scarcity, but as a reflection of the infinite kingdom within us. The question is, will we dare to seek it? Will we embrace the divine spark that has been waiting all along in the depths of our souls? In John 10:30, Jesus proclaimed a truth so profound it transcends time and religious boundaries. I and the Father are one. At first glance, this may seem like a declaration of his divine nature, a statement exclusive to him as the Son of God. But what if these words were meant to reveal a universal reality, a truth that applies to all of humanity? This teaching isn't merely about Jesus' relationship with God. It's an invitation for each of us to recognize our own divine essence. Imagine for a moment that the separation we perceive between ourselves and the divine is nothing more than an illusion, a veil created by our own minds. Jesus was not claiming an exclusive connection to God, but rather showing us that this unity is our birthright. In mystical traditions across the world, this idea of oneness echoes loudly. In Advaita Vedanta, the non-dual philosophy of Hinduism, it is said, Tat Tvam Asi, you are that. This teaching points to the realization that the individual soul, Atman, and the ultimate reality, Brahman, are one and the same. Similarly, in Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam, poets like Rumi speak of dissolving into the beloved, losing the self to find unity with the divine. Jesus' words resonate deeply with these teachings, offering a path to transcend the ego and embrace the infinite. But what does it mean to experience this oneness? It begins with the realization that the ego, the part of us that clings to labels, identities, and separateness, is not the ultimate truth. The ego is like a wave on the surface of the ocean, unique and individual, yet inseparable from the vast waters beneath. When Jesus said, I and the Father are one, he was inviting us to dive below the surface and discover the ocean of divine presence that connects us all. This journey to unity is not an intellectual exercise, it is a transformation of consciousness. It requires us to see beyond the illusions of the physical world and recognize the divine in everything and everyone. As we strip away the layers of ego, fear, and judgment, we begin to glimpse the truth. There is no other. There is only oneness. This teaching also challenges us to rethink our relationship with God. Instead of seeing God as a distant being, separate from creation, we are called to see God as the essence of all that exists. This is not a God confined to the heavens, but a divine presence that permeates every atom of the universe. It is the life force that animates us, the love that binds us, the light that guides us. When we embrace this oneness, our entire perspective shifts. We no longer see ourselves as isolated individuals, but as expressions of the divine. This realization transforms how we live, how we love, and how we connect with others. Compassion flows naturally when we understand that to harm another is to harm ourselves. Joy becomes boundless when we see it as the natural state of our being. Yet, this path is not without challenges. The ego resists surrender, clinging to its illusions of separateness and control. But Jesus' words remind us that the rewards of unity far outweigh the struggles. To realize oneness with God is to experience a peace that surpasses understanding, a love that knows no bounds, and a freedom that transcends the limitations of the physical world. I and the Father are one is more than a statement. It is an awakening. It calls us to remember who we truly are, not mere mortals striving for divine connection, but divine beings remembering our true nature. It is an invitation to step beyond the boundaries of fear and division, and to live in the light of unity. The question is not whether we are one with the Father, but whether we are willing to see it. Will we choose to peel back the layers of illusion and embrace the divine essence within ourselves and each other? Jesus' teaching is a doorway to this realization, but it is up to us to walk through it. Will you take the step? Will you dare to see yourself not as separate, but as one with the infinite? Matthew 6:22 contains one of the most intriguing teachings of Jesus. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is single, your whole body will be full of light. At first glance, this verse might seem like a simple metaphor for clarity or focus. But beneath its surface lies a profound spiritual truth, a mystical key to awakening divine consciousness. The single eye Jesus refers to is not the physical eye, but the spiritual center within us, often called the third eye in mystical traditions. This inner eye, known as the Ajna chakra in yogic philosophy, is said to be the seat of higher perception. When it is activated, it allows one to see beyond the illusions of the material world and perceive the divine reality that underlies all existence. In other words, the single eye opens the door to enlightenment. But how do we make the eye single? This teaching is not about literal vision, but about aligning our awareness, thoughts and energy toward the divine. When our focus is divided, scattered among worldly desires, fears and distractions, we lose sight of our true nature. Jesus calls us to unity, not just with God, but within ourselves. When the eye becomes single, it means that all aspects of our being, mind, heart and spirit, are aligned in harmony, directed toward the light of divine truth. This idea is not unique to Christian mysticism. In many esoteric traditions, the third eye represents the ability to see beyond the physical, accessing realms of intuition, wisdom, and spiritual insight. In Hinduism and Buddhism, meditation practices often involve concentrating on the third eye to awaken deeper states of consciousness. Similarly, in Sufism, the eye of the heart is said to reveal divine secrets when purified. Jesus' words reflect this universal wisdom, inviting us to awaken our spiritual vision. But what happens when the eye is single? Jesus tells us, your whole body will be full of light. This light is not just metaphorical. It is the divine presence that illuminates our being. In mystical experiences, this inner light is often described as radiant and overwhelming, filling the soul with love, peace, and clarity. It is the light of God, shining through us when we let go of ego and illusion. To reach this state, Jesus points to the importance of stillness and inner focus. In a world filled with distractions, the path to awakening the single eye requires discipline. Practices like meditation, prayer, and contemplation help quiet the mind, allowing us to connect with the divine within. By turning inward, we discover that the light we seek has been with us all along. This teaching also speaks to the transformative power of spiritual vision. When the eye is single, we no longer see the world through the lens of separation and duality. Instead, we perceive the interconnectedness of all things, the divine unity that binds creation together. This shift in perception changes how we live. We begin to see others not as strangers, but as reflections of the same divine light. Compassion flows effortlessly, and judgment gives way to understanding. Yet, the path to awakening the single eye is not without challenges. It requires us to confront our inner darkness, the fears, doubts, and attachments that cloud our vision. But Jesus assures us that when we persevere, the reward is immeasurable. The light that fills our being is not just a personal experience, it is a bridge to the divine. It transforms us, empowering us to live as vessels of God's love and wisdom. So, what does it mean to have a single eye in today's world? It means choosing to live with clarity and purpose, guided by the light within. It means resisting the pull of distractions and aligning our lives with the divine truth that Jesus pointed to. It means seeing beyond appearances and recognizing the sacred in every moment. Jesus' teaching about the single eye is a call to awaken, to open ourselves to the light that is always present. The question is, are we ready to make our eyes single? Are we willing to quiet the noise of the world and turn inward, toward the light of divine truth? The path may be narrow, but it leads to a life illuminated by the radiance of God's presence. Will you take the journey and allow your whole body to be full of light? In John 3:3, Jesus spoke to Nicodemus, a respected teacher of Israel, and shared a truth so revolutionary that it left Nicodemus bewildered. No one can see the kingdom of God unless they are born again. At first, Nicodemus misunderstood, thinking Jesus was speaking of physical rebirth. But Jesus wasn't talking about returning to the womb. He was pointing to a profound spiritual transformation. To be born again is to undergo an inner awakening. It's a shift from living as a limited, ego-driven being to realizing the divine nature within. This is not about adopting a new religion or fulfilling rituals. It's about experiencing a complete renewal of consciousness. Jesus was inviting us to let go of our old ways of thinking and being, to shed the false self created by fear, pride, and attachment, and to embrace our true, eternal self. Imagine for a moment what it means to see the world with new eyes. A spiritual rebirth is like waking up from a deep sleep, suddenly aware of the infinite beauty and connection that has always surrounded you. It's as if a veil has been lifted and the truth of existence shines through. This is the rebirth Jesus spoke of, a transformation so profound that it changes not just how we see the world, but how we live in it. In mystical traditions, this rebirth is often described as a death and resurrection. The ego, the part of us that clings to separateness and control, must die so that the soul can rise. This is not a physical death, but the surrender of our attachments to illusions, our identity, possessions, and desires. When we let go of these, we make room for the divine light to fill us, for the kingdom of God to become a living reality within. This teaching also parallels the concept of Kundalini awakening in yogic traditions. In this process, dormant spiritual energy rises from the base of the spine, purifying the body and mind and bringing the individual to higher states of consciousness. Similarly, Jesus' call to be born again is an invitation to awaken this inner energy, to experience a profound transformation that reconnects us with the divine source. But how do we experience this rebirth? Jesus spoke of the Spirit as the key. Flesh gives birth to flesh, but the Spirit gives birth to spirit. John 3:6. This rebirth is not something we achieve through our own efforts. It is a gift of grace, a divine awakening that occurs when we open ourselves fully to God. Through prayer, meditation, and surrender, we invite the Spirit to work within us, transforming us from the inside out. To be born again is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. Each day we are called to renew our minds, to let go of old patterns and embrace the new life offered by the Spirit. It's a journey of continual growth, where we learn to live not from the ego but from the divine essence within. This is the path to the kingdom of God, a kingdom not in the sky but in the depths of our being. This teaching also challenges us to reconsider our understanding of salvation. Salvation is not about escaping punishment or securing a place in heaven. It is about awakening to the divine presence here and now. It is the realization that we are already one with God, that the kingdom of God is not a reward, but a reality waiting to be seen. This awakening brings a peace that surpasses understanding, a joy that is not dependent on circumstances, and a love that transcends all boundaries. The call to be born again is a call to courage. It asks us to step into the unknown, to trust that by letting go of the old, we make way for something infinitely greater. It is a call to transformation, to live as beings of light and love in a world that often feels dark and divided. And in this transformation, we not only see the kingdom of God, we become it. Are you ready to be born again? Are you willing to let go of the illusions that hold you back and embrace the truth of who you are? The Spirit is waiting, ready to guide you into the fullness of life. The kingdom of God is not far away. It is within you, waiting to be revealed. Will you answer the call? Will you step into the new life that Jesus promised? In Matthew 7:13-14, Jesus offered a sobering challenge. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. At first glance, these words may seem like a warning against worldly temptations, but their deeper meaning reveals a profound spiritual truth. The narrow gate is not a physical path, but a metaphor for the journey of inner transformation. It represents the disciplined and often challenging process of awakening to divine consciousness. Unlike the wide gate, which symbolizes the distractions of ego, materialism, and worldly desires, the narrow gate calls us to leave behind our attachments and embark on a path of self-discovery and spiritual discipline. Why is this gate so narrow? Because the journey inward requires us to let go of everything that does not serve our higher purpose. It asks us to surrender the illusions of separateness, pride, and fear. To walk this path, we must face the parts of ourselves we often avoid, the doubts, insecurities, and shadows that block the light of the divine within. The narrow gate is not restrictive. It is focused, guiding us toward what truly matters. The broad road, by contrast, is easy and tempting. It is the path of least resistance, where the ego reigns and instant gratification takes precedence. This road may seem comfortable at first, but it ultimately leads to spiritual stagnation, a life disconnected from the truth of our being. Jesus' words remind us that this road, though popular, cannot lead us to the fullness of life. In mystical traditions worldwide, the narrow path is often likened to the spiritual disciplines of meditation, self-reflection, and surrender. In yogic philosophy, for example, the path to enlightenment is described as sharp as a razor's edge, requiring unwavering focus and dedication. Similarly, in Buddhist teachings, the Eightfold Path guides practitioners to let go of desires and walk the middle way, a balanced and disciplined life leading to awakening. Jesus' teaching aligns with these traditions, offering a universal truth about the spiritual journey. But the narrow gate is not a path of suffering, it is a path of liberation. As we release the weight of ego and worldly attachments, we find a freedom that the wide road could never offer. We begin to experience life in its fullness, not as a series of fleeting pleasures, but as a continuous unfolding of divine presence. The narrow gate leads not to restriction, but to expansion, not to loss, but to infinite gain. What does it mean to walk this narrow road in our daily lives? It means choosing integrity over convenience, love over fear, and truth over comfort. It means prioritizing spiritual growth over worldly success, even when the latter seems more appealing. It means practicing compassion, humility, and mindfulness, even when the world around us encourages selfishness and distraction. This path is not easy, but it is profoundly rewarding. The narrow gate also teaches us about community and support. While the journey is deeply personal, it is not meant to be walked alone. Jesus himself gathered disciples, recognizing the importance of shared faith and encouragement. On the narrow path, we find others who are also seeking truth, and together we strengthen one another. In this way, the narrow road becomes a bridge, connecting us not only to God, but to each other. This teaching challenges us to ask ourselves, which path are we walking? Are we following the crowd through the wide gate, chasing after fleeting pleasures and shallow fulfillment? Or are we daring to walk the narrow road, embracing the challenges and joys of spiritual awakening? The choice is ours, but the stakes are high. The narrow gate leads to life, not just existence, but life in its fullest, most divine sense. Jesus' words remind us that while the narrow path may be less traveled, it is the one that truly leads to the kingdom of God. It is not the easiest road, but it is the only one worth taking. So, will you dare to enter through the narrow gate? Will you embrace the journey of transformation, trusting that it will lead you to the life you were meant to live? The gate is open, waiting for you to step through. Will you take the first step? In John 15:5, Jesus offered a profound metaphor to describe the relationship between humanity and the divine. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. These words are not just a call to faith. They are an invitation to unity, a reminder of the deep, unbreakable connection between the divine source and every soul. The image of the vine and branches is rich with meaning. The vine, strong and enduring, represents Christ consciousness, the divine essence that flows through all of creation. The branches symbolize each of us, individual expressions of this infinite source. Just as branches draw life from the vine, we are nourished by our connection to the divine. When we remain rooted in this unity, we flourish, bearing spiritual fruits such as love, wisdom, and compassion. But what happens when a branch is cut off from the vine? It withers, unable to sustain itself. Similarly, when we disconnect from our divine source through ego, fear, or worldly distractions, we lose the vitality and purpose that come from living in alignment with our true nature. Jesus' words remind us that our strength, creativity, and ability to thrive come not from our own efforts alone, but from our connection to the divine. This teaching is not about dependency, it's about partnership. Jesus does not ask us to passively rely on him, but to actively remain in him, to nurture our spiritual connection and align ourselves with the flow of divine energy. In doing so, we become co-creators, vessels through which the divine manifests love and light in the world. The vine and branches are not separate. They are one, working in harmony to bring forth life. Across spiritual traditions, this idea of connection to a greater source is a common theme. In Hinduism, the Atman, or individual soul, is seen as inseparable from Brahman, the ultimate reality. In Sufism, the beloved is both within and beyond, and union with the divine is the ultimate goal. Jesus' metaphor of the vine echoes these teachings, offering a universal truth about the interconnectedness of all life. But how do we remain in the vine? Jesus offers the answer. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. John 15:7. This remaining is not about physical proximity or blind obedience. It is about living in alignment with divine principles. Through prayer, meditation, and the practice of love, we deepen our connection to the vine and allow divine energy to flow through us. Remaining in the vine also means surrendering our illusions of separateness. It requires us to let go of the ego's need for control and to trust in the divine wisdom that guides us. This surrender is not a loss of freedom, but the discovery of true freedom. A life lived in harmony with the divine will, where we are not burdened by fear or striving, but empowered by grace. What does it mean to bear fruit? It means living a life that reflects the divine within us. The fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, are not just abstract virtues. They are the tangible expressions of our connection to the vine. When we remain in the vine, these fruits naturally flow from us, enriching our lives and the lives of others. This teaching also challenges us to consider the consequences of disconnection. When we cut ourselves off from the vine, we become like withered branches, unable to thrive or bear fruit. This disconnection is not a punishment, but a natural result of living out of alignment with our true nature. Jesus calls us back to the vine, not with judgment but with love, inviting us to rediscover the life and vitality that come from union with the divine. "I am the vine, you are the branches" is more than a metaphor. It is a map for living a life of purpose and fulfillment. It reminds us that we are not alone, that we are part of something far greater than ourselves. It calls us to embrace our divine connection and to let that connection guide our thoughts, actions, and relationships. The question is, are we living as branches connected to the vine? Are we drawing strength and inspiration from our divine source, or are we trying to thrive on our own? Jesus' words are an invitation to return to the vine, to reconnect with the source of all life and love. The vine is always there, waiting for us to abide in it. Will you choose to remain in the vine and let your life bear the fruits of divine union? The choice is yours and the path is open. Will you take it? Will you? In Matthew 13:11, Jesus revealed an important distinction. The knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. These words underscore a reality often overlooked. Jesus' teachings were layered, offering truths accessible only to those ready to receive them. While he spoke in parables to the masses, his closest disciples were entrusted with deeper, esoteric wisdom. But why did Jesus conceal such profound truths? It was not to withhold enlightenment, but to protect it. The mysteries of the kingdom are transformative and challenging, requiring a readiness of mind and spirit. To those unprepared, these teachings could be misunderstood, distorted, or even dismissed. Jesus' approach ensured that only those willing to seek, question, and grow would uncover the hidden depths of his message. The secrets of the kingdom were not about rituals or doctrines, but about awakening to divine consciousness. They pointed to an inner reality, a state of union with God, available to all who turned inward and transcended the limitations of ego. Jesus' disciples were not merely followers, they were students of a mystical path, learning to see beyond the surface and embrace the eternal truths hidden within. One of the most striking examples of this deeper teaching is found in the Gospel of Thomas, a text outside the canonical Bible, but rich in esoteric wisdom. In it, Jesus is quoted as saying, "When you know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will realize that you are the children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, you live in poverty, and you are the poverty." This teaching emphasizes self-knowledge as the gateway to divine union, a radical departure from the external focus of many religious practices. The secrets Jesus shared with his disciples also included teachings on the nature of the soul, the oneness of all existence, and the transformative power of love. He spoke of the kingdom of God not as a distant realm, but as a present reality, accessible here and now through spiritual awakening. These truths were revolutionary, challenging the religious norms of his time and inviting his followers to embark on a journey of inner transformation. Among those who received these teachings, Mary Magdalene stands out as a key figure. Often misunderstood in mainstream narratives, Mary was not merely a follower, but a spiritual equal, entrusted with insights that others did not receive. In the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, she is depicted as a leader among the disciples, sharing profound teachings on the nature of the soul and the path to divine union. Her role highlights the inclusivity of Jesus' message, which transcended societal norms and embraced the divine potential in everyone. The secrecy surrounding these teachings also reflected their power. To awaken to the kingdom within is to experience a profound shift in consciousness, one that challenges the very foundations of the ego and the material world. Such truths, if misunderstood, could lead to fear or rejection. By revealing them only to those ready to receive, Jesus ensured that they would be nurtured and passed down with integrity. Yet, these teachings are not meant to remain hidden forever. As humanity evolves, the time has come to rediscover and embrace the mysteries of the kingdom. They call us to move beyond superficial faith and dive into the depths of spiritual truth. They invite us to question, to seek, and to awaken to the divine essence within ourselves and the world around us. The knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom is not a privilege, it is a responsibility. It asks us to live with intention, to align our lives with the divine truth revealed through these teachings. It challenges us to let go of fear, judgment, and separation, and to embrace love, unity, and compassion as our guiding principles. Jesus' words remind us that the secrets of the kingdom are not inaccessible. They are waiting for us to seek them with open hearts and minds. The path may be narrow, the journey challenging, but the reward is unparalleled. A life illuminated by divine wisdom, a heart filled with boundless love, and a soul united with the infinite. So, are you ready to uncover the secrets of the kingdom? Will you step beyond the surface and seek the deeper truths that Jesus entrusted to his disciples? The kingdom of heaven is not far away. It is within you, waiting to be revealed. The question is, will you take the journey to discover it? Jesus' teachings were far more than historical anecdotes. They were a blueprint for spiritual transformation. By turning inward, activating our spiritual vision, and embracing divine unity, we can awaken to our innate divinity. The kingdom of God is not distant. It is within us, waiting to be realized. Are you ready to walk the narrow path and discover the true wisdom of Jesus? The journey begins now, and the first step is yours to take.